Hi, I'm retired Major General Jim Kessler, President and CEO of the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation. We the Marines is the signature film for the Medal of Honor Theater at the National Museum of the Marine Corps. It's an immersive adventure into the unparalleled experience of becoming and serving as a United States Marine. Let's take a look at the trailer for We the Marines.
The Marines' motto, Semper Fidelis, always faithful, means once you're a Marine, you're a Marine all your life.
All of us together are stronger than one individual. It's the identity of we, not me.
Marines understand that what they do is a brutal business, but they never lose their humanity.
Then and now, they are the first to fight. From Bellawood to Iwo Jima and Afghanistan.
Cemented on me. It's part of who I am now.
We're part of something bigger, more important than just us.
McGillivray Freeman Films, the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation, and Boeing invite you to experience the proud legacy of the U.S. Marine Corps in a film made for the giant screen.
We do not promise any individual who comes into the Marine Corps anything except maybe if you're good enough, you can become a Marine.
We the Marines, a film created for the Medal of Honor Theater at the National Museum of the Marine Corps.
Wow, that trailer still sparks excitement for me whenever I see it. What a great introduction it is for our visitors to get an inside look on what it's like to be a Marine today. In celebration of the 3rd anniversary of We the Marines, the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation presents a special Q&A with director Greg MacGillivray, chairman of McGillivray Freeman Films. He's joining us today to give us an inside look at what it took to bring this action-packed giant screen film to life. All right, well, Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to having this conversation about our film, We the Marines.
Well, thanks for inviting me. I love it. Thank you very much.
So you've been in this business now for a long time, over 40 years of producing and directing. Was there a particular event in your life that you realized that this really was your calling and not just a hobby?
It was when my first movie, which I put out my freshman year of college, when it became a success, and actually I tripled my investment, and my parents and I had no idea that this was ever going to happen because this was a hobby. I still treat it as a hobby. And the fun thing was I had this decision to make. I had to figure out, well, now I've got all this money. I could make another movie. Should I do that? I have this crowd waiting for my second film. And so I decided to take that risk and dropped out of college my second year to make another movie in 7 months. That turned out to be a success, but I went back to college anyway. And so I wanted a backup. I wasn't sure that film was going to be, successful enough for me. So I was in college studying to be a physicist. And I love math and physics and science and history, and so that's what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, this thing popped up, and I couldn't have had a better life. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it's become kind of a family affair for you, right?
It is, thankfully, you know, and Barbara and I didn't really expect the children to come into the business with us. We took them on location always, even when they were 2 or 3 years old, and they kind of formed a love for the experience. And they went to college in different disciplines, English and economics. But then they later on came back and said, hey, you know, I think film is more fun, and it is.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Now, you know, a lot in the industry now, it seems, are kind of moving over to a digital platform, and you've elected to stay with film. Is there something in particular about film that you think makes for a better production?
Well, so far, film is still slightly better than digital reproduction. Now, your theater in Quantico is exceptional because it's using 2 digital projectors, lots of light input on the screen, great sound system, and so it's as good as film. But in a lot of other locations, film is still better, and so you end up and not very much better because digital is getting better and better every day. And so eventually, in probably a year, digital projection will surpass film projection.
Okay. So I think our viewers would be very interested to know, when you were first approached about this idea of making a film about Marines, a little bit out of your lane, I think. What did you think of?
Well, I was excited because I'd actually made a film about the Navy before, and that was so impressive to me. Living on board an aircraft carrier with Navy and Marine officers flying off the deck, it was exceptional. And I saw the expertise of our military force. All of that is not communicated well to the general public, and it should be, I think. And so I thought with the Marine Corps film, we could really show the people, the audience, and citizens in the United States and elsewhere, how professional our military is. And the Marine Corps, of course, is probably trained better than any other military group in the world. And it's that training that really gives you that edge. And I mean, the funny thing is, when we were filming, we could never really tell if we were actually going to be filming a certain day or not, because lots of things get scheduled, but a lot of things get canceled right at the last minute. And so we had to be basically flying by the seat of our pants all the time, which digital helped us with, because we could shoot an awful lot. You know, we probably shot 10 movies to make this one movie. And over a 3-year period, hundreds of days of shooting. We've never been in the field as much as this, shooting a movie before in my history. And the reason is that, and I think I figured this out, is that the Marine Corps has to be at the ready. And what that means is you're ready even when things get canceled. And our whole team had to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. You know, I really like the way the film opens up. It's a young lady whose fiance is getting ready to go to boot camp, and it's a very small picture on this huge screen. And she's talking about how nervous she is for him leaving. And then it explodes onto this massive screen. It really hits all of your senses. Why was it important for you to start this journey in that way?
Well, we tried to tell the story of that personal journey, that commitment, kind of really surrendering the rest of your life to this Corps, and to the other people that are in there with you. you know, our main theme, which is, you know, once you're in the Marines, you're always a Marine. That's what kind of starts out with that early commitment, going to boot camp, and that's what bonds you to one another. And I think that emotional moment when I first saw that on the internet, and she'd recorded this as it happened. She was concerned for her boyfriend or her husband who was going to go off and join the Marine Corps. And it was just so beautiful. And she had this beautiful Southern accent. And I just said, oh my gosh, this is going to melt everyone's heart. We've got to try to use this. And so we figured out a way to use it and then build that whole theme, the training at various locations all around the United States, as our main message. Now, at first, we didn't have that as the theme. We were actually planning to go to Afghanistan and film over there. And so we changed directions, and we were changing directions, of course, when we were making this movie often. And
Yeah.
that was kind of part of the fun of it.
So in the process of making it, you got to go visit a lot of different bases, Parris Island, Camp Pendleton, Quantico. What was that like, visiting all those Marine Corps bases?
It was impressive, and it still shocks me as to what we go through in this country to be prepared and to be ready and to be trained. And the you know, when you're talking about winter warfare in you know, Northern California where it's snowing, or desert warfare in 29 Palms or various other locations, Texas and elsewhere, where it's really hot, 120 degrees, you know, you're ready for everything. And it's you know, it's stunning what the Corps goes through.
It must have been interesting for your team to work in those extreme harsh conditions. You mentioned the two that I was going to ask you about, you know, the cold weather training that we do in the Sierra Nevadas, and the desert training that we do in the high desert at 29 Palms, two very extreme climates. What was it like for your crews to work in those environments?
Well, it's a struggle. You know, it's not easy work. It's like being in the Marine Corps, except in our case, you know, we have a small crew because we have to be very mobile, very quick. And, you know, half the things that we tried didn't work. Trying to get things mounted on a Jeep, or get cameras mounted, you know, on a big tank or something like that. But, you know, when you're out in you know, using active fire, I remember the time that our crew was next to a howitzer, and when those things go off, they cave in your chest with a concussion. And, you know, our crew, I mean, it's exciting, and they love the experience.
So we feel we were very fortunate, I think, to get Gene Hackman, himself a Marine, to be the narrator on this film. What was it like working with him?
He was great. He said, oh yeah, you know, what you're saying in the movie, once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. That's true. That's true for me, and it's true for everyone that I know. You know, it was one of those things where I've always loved his voice, and I've always loved his talent. And I thought, if I can ever get him for a movie, I want to use him. And certainly he came through for us in this situation, because his narration is just perfect. You know, he pulls off lines that other actors could never pull off, and it really rips your heart. And when I wanted to make his experience be part of the movie, you know, how he felt when he went through the various experiences, he said, well, I don't know if you really want that. I said, no, we do.
Certainly came across that way, and it's a great addition, I think, to the film itself. And you've mentioned that you wanted this film to have sort of a documentary, sort of unstaged kind of feel to it, much like the Marine Corps itself. That must have been challenging to try to get all of that and still be able to produce film with all of that uncertainty.
You know, it was, and part of that was just from my desire to make a film that's more cinema verite, where you're really telling the truth and you're there and you feel that experience. But also because we had digital and we're able to shoot without, you know, having the high cost of film, but also because they told us early on that you're not going to be able to do take number 2. You know, take number 1 is all you're going to get. And so I said, well, we better be ready for it. And partly because I thought it was the right way to tell the story.
Yeah, well, it certainly came across that way, that's for sure. And you've alluded to some of these already, but what were some of the other challenges that you had in making this film? You know, all of the travel, all of the harsh conditions, the sort of unscripted work that you had to do. What were some of your biggest challenges?
I think, you know, besides the filming challenges that I have described, the real big challenge was editing a film that was to the length that you needed, because we have enough footage to make 10 movies. And so actually finding the best story, and we had a number of different cuts with different kind of story themes. And I thought that this one, and I still think this way, was by far the strongest and the most emotional. You know, the Marine Corps didn't really want us to do a scripted movie either. They didn't want to have a singular character who became kind of a star. They wanted it to be about everyone, about all Marines. And so we didn't focus in on individual characters so much as the training for everyone. And I think that works really well. I think it comes across as being more honest and probably more convincing and emotional. At least I hope so.
Yeah, and I will tell you, let me kind of dovetail on your comment about the emotional aspect of it. I find that when our visitors watch this film, they are all moved in a very big way. And I'll just share a personal story. My mother, who has been around the Marine Corps for a long, long time. I was in for 33 years and my brother for 27 years. And so I probably thought she knew a lot about the Marine Corps. Even she was moved to tears. She
love it.
Saw that film. Was that an intent from the beginning to have that kind of an emotional impact, or was that just a fortunate byproduct of your work?
It's you always try to get a range of emotions in any film. So you want humor, you want joy, you want sorrow, you want emotional ups and downs. And so when you feel the emotional connection to what these men and women are doing, regardless of whether you're in the Corps or not, you feel it. And you know, the sacrifice is part of it, and conveying that story, I think, is always going to be emotional. The way that we told it was a struggle to edit the right way. You know, we had probably 100 different cuts of that one version, and I kept testing it with audience members, and it got better and better and better. And it's just like a painting or a book. You're continually working on it to make it better and better. And finally, you know, I thought, okay, this is going to be so good.
Well, I'll tell you, you absolutely hit the mark on this one. There's no doubt about it. So in the process of making this film, what did you learn about Marines that you didn't know? What was surprising for you?
Well, I knew quite a bit about the Marine Corps because some of my best friends were Marine officers in Vietnam, and then in World War II too. I grew up with some neighbors that fought in World War II, and and so I knew that they were committed, and I knew that they loved their country, but I didn't ever know how committed and how much they loved their country. And this came through when we were working on the movie. It's kind of pervasive through the entire Corps. And I think that's the one thing that really surprised me, that there's such a universal dedication.
Yeah. What excites you most about this movie? This truly amazing movie, We the Marines. What excites you the most about it?
Well, I like some of the action sequences, but I also like the heart. And I think the thing that gets me the most, and you know, I tear up every time I see it as well, even after seeing it 1,000 times. You know, that's for me good storytelling. And even though I was there leading the effort, I still feel pretty knocked out by it.
Well, you're in good company with that, because I think just about everybody that sees this film feels the same way. You know, the film was actually available to be streamed for quite some time. Can you talk just a little bit about what you see as the benefits of seeing this film on a big screen as opposed to streaming it at home on your computer or TV at home?
Well, it's good either way, but it's, I think, 10 times better at the theater, where you've got a screen that's you know, 3 or 4 stories high, and you've got the ultimate in sound experiences. And you know, when there's live military fire, you feel it. You know, there's a low end sound wave that comes from the screen that blasts your chest. And in fact, we took our entire Hollywood staff, 8 or 9 people, back to Quantico, installed a mixing console, and spent, I think, 4 or 5 days doing the final mix in that theater, so the sound quality would be absolutely perfect. That theater is a new design. It's not like a regular IMAX theater. It's actually slightly better and more dramatic, and you end up, I think, really feeling the film much more intensely. You experience the Marine Corps in a more intimate way. And so I would definitely say, everyone, you should go to Quantico to see this film. Yeah. See it elsewhere, but also see it down there.
Yeah, it really does hit all of your senses, and you really do literally feel the movie when you're watching it in that big screen. It's amazing. I'm sure as you were moving around the Marine Corps and filming all of these different activities, you had to have had a lot of very memorable experiences. What was your most memorable experience?
Well, I think for me, it was filming the Canine group down at Camp Pendleton. You know, these dogs that are taken into war zones, you know, they're so well trained, and the handlers are so well trained. And when you see how much that they can do and how well they can recognize explosives and help save their comrades, and you end up seeing the bonding between the handler and the dog. And that's such a heartfelt story. And you end up I think everyone loves dogs, but in this case, these dogs are risking their lives for their master.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job in the film of capturing that bond between the handler and the dog, and helping the viewer really understand the loyalty that exists between the handler and the dog, and both of them quite literally relying on the other for their life.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable thing. Let me wrap it up, I guess, with this last question, and just ask you, what is it that that you would like the viewer to take away from this film when they watch it?
I think the main thing is that when you really come down to it, our military force is made up of people, and if there's proper leadership, as there is in the Marine Corps, and enough planning, those people will be bonded together and dedicated to each other and to their mission forever, and all through their life. And their family will be that way too. And you end up kind of being blown away that kind of thing can actually happen in our world. When you come down to it, though, it's that human to human contact that really is important in life. And with the Marine Corps, these Marines experience that to the nth degree, probably more intensely than any other group I've ever been around.
Well, thank you very, very much. Not only for taking time out of your schedule to join us today and to have this great conversation, but thank you also for this magnificent film that you have given us, and we are so very thankful for this film and for what it can help the viewers and the public know about what it's like to be a Marine. So thank you very much, Greg.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to be involved. I really loved it.
Well, we look forward to welcoming our guests back at the Medal of Honor Theater here at the National Museum of the Marine Corps. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and Semper Fidelis.